On the night of July 16, 1918, in the basement room of a merchant's house in the Russian city of Ekaterinburg, the most powerful family in Russia had 30 minutes to live. Tsar Nicholas II, his wife Alexandra, their 5 children Olga, Tatiana, Maria, Anastasia, and Alexei, plus 4 servants, were ordered downstairs by Bolshevik commander Yakov Yurovsky. They were told they were being moved for their safety. They were told to stand against the wall to be photographed. The photograph was a lie. 11 men entered the room with revolvers and bayonets. The shooting began. The Tsar died first. Some of the children survived the initial volley because their corsets had been sewn full of diamonds and jewels, which deflected bullets. The soldiers finished them with bayonets. By midnight, the entire imperial family was dead. The bodies were carried out, transported by truck into the forest, doused in acid and gasoline, and buried in 2 separate locations to prevent identification. Within days, rumors began to spread that not all of the Romanovs had died that night. The youngest daughter, Anastasia, 17 years old, was said to have survived somehow, escaped, and was hiding somewhere in the world. The rumor would persist for nearly a century. Dozens of women would claim to be Anastasia. Books and Hollywood films would be made about her possible survival. The mystery would not be definitively solved until DNA testing in 2007. This is what really happened to the Romanovs, and how science finally closed the case. To understand the mystery, you have to understand who Anastasia was. She was born in 1901, the 4th and youngest daughter of Tsar Nicholas II and Tsarina Alexandra. The family had 4 daughters before finally producing a male heir, Alexei, in 1904. Alexei suffered from hemophilia, the bleeding disorder that had afflicted European royal houses through Queen Victoria's bloodline. The Russian imperial family was secretive about Alexei's condition, which contributed to political instability and the rise of the controversial monk Rasputin, who appeared able to alleviate Alexei's symptoms. Anastasia was the most rebellious of the daughters. Family letters and diaries describe her as energetic, mischievous, frequently in trouble with tutors, and the favorite playmate of her younger brother. Family photographs show a girl with bright eyes and a sense of humor. After the February Revolution of 1917 forced Nicholas to abdicate, the family was placed under house arrest. They were moved between several locations, eventually to the Ipatov house in Ekaterinburg in April 1918. They were told they would be moved to safety. The Bolshevik leadership in Moscow had different plans. The execution order was issued by local Bolshevik authorities under Lenin's general approval. The family was killed without a public trial. The disposal of the bodies was overseen personally by Yurovsky, who later wrote a detailed account of what happened. Yurovsky's report, kept secret for decades and finally published in 1989, described an attempt to dump all the bodies in a mine shaft, then a panicked relocation to a different burial site when the soldiers feared the first location had been seen. He explicitly stated that 2 bodies, those of Alexei and one of his sisters, were burned and buried separately to confuse anyone who might find the main grave. This detail, that 2 bodies were missing from the main grave, was the seed of the Anastasia legend. In 1991, after the Soviet Union fell, the main mass grave was officially excavated. Forensic anthropologists confirmed it contained 9 bodies. The identification was confirmed by DNA testing in 1992 and 98, comparing samples to living Romanov relatives including Prince Philip of Britain, who shared mitochondrial DNA with Empress Alexandra. The bodies of the Tsar, the Tsarina, 3 daughters, and 4 servants were positively identified. 2 bodies were indeed missing: Alexei and 1 daughter. Mainstream historians believed this was probably either Maria or Anastasia, with most evidence pointing to Maria. But the public mystery refused to die. From 1920 onward, more than 10 women came forward claiming to be Anastasia. The most famous was Anna Anderson, a young woman who attempted suicide in Berlin in 1920 and was hospitalized. She insisted she was Anastasia, that she had been bayoneted but not killed, that a sympathetic soldier had smuggled her out of the basement. She remained Anna Anderson until her death in 1984. Her claim was supported by some surviving Romanov relatives and rejected by others. Multiple lawsuits and investigations failed to definitively prove or disprove her identity. Anna Anderson became a Hollywood legend. The 1956 Ingrid Bergman film Anastasia and the 1997 animated film both treated her story sympathetically. Her body was cremated. In 1994, samples of her tissue stored in a Charlottesville hospital were tested for DNA. They did not match the Romanov genetic profile. Anna Anderson was almost certainly Franciszka Szankowska, a Polish factory worker who had disappeared in 1920 after a workplace explosion. The mystery remained partial. 2 Romanov bodies were still missing from the official gravesite. Then, in 2007, a small additional grave was found about 7